Welcome to this special joint webinar co-hosted by E-MetroTel and Target Distributing. Today, we're joined by Brad Ford, Product Management Leader at E-MetroTel, along with Chris Howell, Telecom Technician at Target Distributing. In this session, they'll walk us through the NEC green migration paths, showing how seamless it is to transition existing NEC systems into an E-MetroTel UCX platform. From setup to configuration, you'll see just how quickly an NEC phone can be registered and running on UCX, whether on-premise or in the cloud. So let's get started. Over to you, Brad and Chris.
Using the decked handsets work, not with E-MetroTel. Acting now means a planned, smooth migration instead of an expensive rush later. At this time, I will hand it over to Brad, and at any time you have a question, you can type it in the chat, and we will either answer right away, or at the end, we will take questions as well. Brad, the stage is yours, my friend.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. So as we continue through today's agenda, I'm going to provide an overview of the UCX web-based configuration utility, just to familiarize yourselves a little bit with it, some of the key functionality. It's similar to NEC Web Pro. It's where we do all our system configuration and PBX configuration. And then I'm going to step through a live demonstration of configuring 3 device types: the NEC digital phone, an analog station phone, and a NEC IP phone. So first on that, the web-based configuration utility, we're going to log in live because I was told this. We want to focus on a live demonstration. I have the slides there just to move us along on the agenda. So this is the login screen for our UCX software. You're going to see that once it logs in, it's going to be on a dashboard screen. Just gives you a quick overview of the system health metrics. But I'm not going to go into all the details on that. And there's so many aspects of this that I won't be able to cover everything. I want to focus just on that live demo. But some of the key things to point out from a UCX software, so all the system level software, the operating system, and the PBX software can be manually updated at any time through this interface, but we also have a facility for being able to schedule updates on a daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly period. When it does that, it will automatically download it in the middle of the night. It will decide whether, if a restart is necessary, it'll sit there waiting for you to restart without interrupting traffic during that time. We also have functionality we refer to as automated cleanup. Basically, we look at all the different storage files that we have, things like backups, CDR records, call recordings, and voicemail recordings, and allow you to set a storage time frame that they would remain on the machine, and then when that time frame expires, it clears up the files off the system, optimizing the system resources. From a security perspective, we have numerous security functionalities built into here. Just as an example, we have this IP block list capability. It basically monitors for repeated invalid connection attempts across all the different types of connections that the UCX can support. And if they're invalid after a certain number of attempts have reached a threshold, we will block that IP address from further attempts for a time period that you specify in the configuration. We also have keynote is our remote access capabilities. So you can configure each UCX to automatically reach out and connect into the E-MetroTel VPN, allowing resellers, so your support team, your configuration team, and E-MetroTel support to easily get access to that system for configuration or troubleshooting. So that's a widely used and very useful utility that we provide. And then I will actually get back to this screen later in the demo. That's why I want to just show it to you now. We have an extensions overview. So every extension that you've configured and every phone device that has been programmed to start attempting to talk to the UCX shows up in this screen. You can actually see an analog phone here with no extension and a NEC digital, like the DTL24 is sitting here waiting to be configured. But I'll just scroll down and show you an example here. Here is a bunch of NEC digital phone types connected to one of our DSM-16s. And a little further down, you can see a number of NEC IP phones that are already connected. I'll be adding to those in the demo. These ones are already pre-configured on this system, and I'll explain more about how to do that as I reach through to the demo. So if we flip back to our agenda, the first thing that I was going to do is show you how to configure an NEC digital phone. It's digital phones need to be converted into IP to be able to connect to the UCX. We do that through our DSM-16 card, which stands for Digital Station Module 16 ports. And rather than talking about the static picture here, I'm actually going to log in. Well, I've already logged into this system. And you can see the only thing that you have to configure on a DSM-16, if you're okay with all the defaults, is a call server IP address, which is on one menu over here, but more importantly, the device configuration. The device configuration allows you to select the type of digital phones you're going to connect. With NEC, we have three options. The one that's configured right now is would be for supporting DT 300, 400, and 500 series sets. So anything on the SV 9100 or 8100. If you're going to be supporting SL 1100 or 2100 sets, you would select these. It's always important to set this selection and save it before you start connecting any phone to the system through the Amphenol cable, as the power ratings and the signaling formats, things like that, are all different across all these devices. So you want to make sure you're matching the right type here. So that's already set on this DSM-16. And the next thing we do is we go into the PBX settings. Defaults to, are you wanting to add an extension? And of course we do. We treat all the NEC phones, whether they're digital or IP, as what we refer to as XSTIM device, which is our intelligent proprietary capabilities. So we're going to want to add one of those. Now, if you're willing to accept all our defaults, there's only three pieces of information that you need to configure on this whole page. There's too many options for me to go through and describe, but we need to add an extension. And so I'm going to choose 5340 for this. We're going to call it Brad's Digital, if I could spell, NEC. Okay, and accept all these other defaults. We need to identify that this device uses XSTIM technology. We have multiple vendors, as you saw on the other screen, that we support. So you would select NEC. And in the phone type, we have a drop-down list of all the different NEC phone models that we support, both digital and IP. I was adding a DT L24, so I would select that. And if I knew the MAC address of that phone, I would actually enter it in this field, copy and paste from another spreadsheet or something. But we actually make it even simpler than that. You don't actually even need, in that case, to know the vendor or phone type. We have this select button. So we're going to click on that. It provides a drop-down list of any devices that have already reached out to the UCX PBX software and said, I'm here, configure me. And there's our DTL24 right there. It tells me the MAC address, tells me the IP address of the DSM16 that it's connected to, and it even tells me that this phone is connected on port 9 on that. So if I was trying to trace wires, I would look for the punch down blocks associated with port 9 for that device. So I'm going to select that. And again, we go through a lot of options that you can choose, some recording options, enable or disable voicemail. And on this one, we're just going to click submit. You can make multiple configurations and then apply config up here, but we're going to apply it each time here just for simplicity. I will show you how you verify that that's actually now connected and configured. After I do the analog and the IP phones, we'll look at all three of them together. So there's our first extension, an NEC digital phone. And if we look at the step 2, we wanted to configure an analog phone on an analog port. We do that through our Galaxy FXX16 card, foreign exchange station from old-time telephony terminology. It's a 16-port analog telephone gateway. Again, I've got an example of the screen up here, but we'll go live back into another tab. I have to log into this one, so I will log in. And I'm using the default password on here, which we never recommend. In fact, we give you a warning that it is the default, so give it a chance to change it, but I'm just going to cancel. The only thing out of all these menu items and submenus, all we're doing on this one is going to make sure that the default settings have been maintained. And in particular on the voice over IP settings, we look for the XDIM configuration section, and it says XDIM is enabled. So that's, again, our proprietary protocol. We communicate with all our intelligent devices with that, and this becomes an intelligent gateway. We make sure that the IP address configured for the UCX server is correct, which in this case it is. And if I had to make any changes, I'd just do a save and carry on. In this case, they're the settings I want. So now I go back in. We just saw that we're treating the analog phones as XDIM devices. So I'm going to add another XDIM extension. We give it an IP address, or I should say an extension. We'll use 5240. Brad's analog phone. And now that I taught you the shortcut for selecting, I'm just going to click right away. We'll go down, and you can see that it's identified an analog phone port that's unassigned. I know it was pair 9, so that I wanted to use. So I'm going to select that one. Again, I can start setting things around recording calls. I can assign voicemail password information, but in this case, I'm just going to submit. We apply the configuration. Second step of the process is complete, and we've configured an analog telephone device. Third step, an NEC IP phone. So very, very critical for you to understand that there is no need to touch anything on the phone, even though it's an IP phone that's got server addresses of its own, it's got names and passwords. You don't need to change the firmware on the NEC IP phones. You don't need to change the server IP address. You actually don't even need to know the username and password. So you certainly don't need to know what they are. So, or to change it, I should say. So, but again, first thing, in this example, from a demonstration perspective, there's an extra step. The very first time that you start configuring NEC IP phones, you need to go down into the settings section of our PBX and enable NEC IP phones support. On this system, it's already enabled. By default, it comes as disabled. So you would click the enable, you'd submit changes, and you'd apply config. The parameters here, you don't need to change if you're using default parameters on your NEC PBX that you're converting from. We've built those same default parameters into our interface. Once we've done that, we go back to the extensions. Again, they're treated as XDIM devices. We request to add an extension. And I should point out, there are methods for doing bulk configurations as well. But for today's demo, they're doing it all manually. So this one, we're going to give extension 5360, and it's Brad's IP phone. NEC. And I'll take that same shortcut by clicking the select. Here is two different NEC IP phones that are sitting there. I want the ITL 12 button phone. So I'm just going to select that. Scroll down to the bottom. Submit. And I apply the configuration. I should point out quickly that I can actually go into that particular phone, or this is the digital one. And when I go to the XDIM properties, then I can control what text gets displayed on the phone. I can assign all the feature buttons, all the programmable keys. This was a 24-button phone, so there's your 24 buttons. They can either be BLFs, speed dials, or feature assignments. So we have completed configuration for the 3 telephone types, and we will just verify that those are in there through the reports, extensions overview. And I used my name in that, in each device name. So there's my analog phone, extension 5240. I can go see the address of the FSX16 that was on there, the MAC address associated with that device, the fact that it's an analog phone, and then it's on what we've labeled FSX16 as main 1. Port 9. If I search for the next occurrence of Brad, it's extension 5340. It's that digital phone. Again, the IP address of the DSM16 and the MAC address associated with it. The device type, it was a DTL24. The firmware level on that digital device and again, the actual DSM-16 name and port number. Finally, the 5360 extension that I created for Brad's IP phone. This is the actual IP address of the phone itself because it's singular. The MAC address associated with it, it was an ITL12, and that phone happens to be running NEC firmware 1.0.5.0. So 3 steps for, one for each of the 3 phones. 3 pieces of information is all that's necessary. The extension, the username, and selecting the device or inputting a MAC address. And that actually brings us to question and answer time. Chris has been monitoring the chat channel for questions that came in during the chat. We'll address those first, and then I think we'll have plenty of time to address some real-time questions and answers as well.
Okay, thanks, Brad. Okay, is there an easy way to find out which NEC phones are supported?
Yes. So if you go to emetrotel.com, I'll try and do this on here. Should be able to. If we go to emetrotel.com, under the solutions, because this is all part of our green migration strategy, so it's listed in the solution section. We click on NEC. There's some description of it, but down below is our supported IP devices by model and device name. Scrolling through that, and then below that is the supported digital devices, 300, 400, 500 series, and then the SL 1100 and 1200 phones.
Okay, great. What device is not considered an XSTEM?
So there are, certainly, probably the most common is just a common SIP phone. So, even NEC, some of their phones are what they refer to as standard SIP versus NEC SIP. So a standard SIP phone would not fall under the XSTEM configuration. Third-party SIP devices, we connect to, some door phones can be configured. They want to be configured as a extension using SIP. So that's a non-XSTEM device as well. Another example. There's probably a few others as well.
Okay. Can you tell us a little about your soft phone and mobile phone?
Yeah, so we have 2 soft phone solutions. They're client solutions. We have our 3065, and I did have an issue trying to get it onto my shared screen, so I can't show it directly, but I can show it to you here. So the 3065 is has soft phone functionality. That's kind of the default configuration. We have it available, recently launched for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. Same phone, same functionality in all 4 environments. But not only do they support soft phone functionality with our own extension, they also have access to both our Infinity One messaging capabilities. So direct messages, group messages through our Infinity One platform that coexist with the UCX software. It's our unified collaboration software. but so we provide the messaging. You can do video conferencing through that on any 4 of these devices. And you can actually also do SMS, like, end user SMS and soon to be MMS functionality from the 3065 interface as well. So an individual user could have an SMS account that's associated with their company. So they're sending messages as a representative of the company, as opposed to sending text messaging through their personal account. So it's a much more professional looking method of communication. So that's the 3065. We also have for desktop users in particular, we have our Infinity Web Client. Slight difference in how the soft phone works in the background, but it has a full feature soft phone. You can see that down. Should be on this. Actually, it's not on this screen, but the soft phone has a dialer that you can call up at any point in time, but it has access to 120 programmable keys if you want to. It has because it's within our unified communication and collaboration client, you have access to our omni-channel capabilities for answering inbound SMS, web chats, things like that. Through this interface, you would also see our queue reports, so historical reports for queues, as well as our wallboards for real-time queue status. But it also still supports all the group messaging, direct messaging, and video as well. So there's 2 different soft clients depending on the nature of the user that requires it.
Okay. And if we want to host the virtual system, do we have to host it in your cloud, or can we host it in our own cloud?
So it's a good question. From a commercial perspective, I don't speak on the commercial side, but we do offer virtualization software that can be hosted even within a customer premise in their virtualized environment, or we can provide the software that it can be hosted on your own cloud solution as well.
Okay. I noticed on button programming digital phone, it started with button 2. Button 1, is it configurable or not?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. That's okay. So we'll go back to, I'm going to go to the 12 button phone. So there's 24 buttons in our XDIM configuration. You always have to have one extension button where calls are presented on. So that's what we refer to as the number of lines. So that's one of those keys immediately, and then we start at 2 and go down. But if you want the user to be able to have multiple appearances of their extension, you can actually change this up to a total of 5 line buttons. And if we chose 5, then this would start at 6 from a button key perspective, because we've consumed those for the line appearances.
Okay. That's all the questions that have came in. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, here's another one. Say I want to move an NEC customer to the cloud and keep their 30 phones. Is the config process the same? what hardware would be required to support this?
Yeah, so good question, and I'll answer an extra one in there as well because I skipped over it today. So for a cloud system, the NEC IP phones need to, that's a case where you do need to touch them because they've been used to talking to a PBX that's on premise. NEC phones have a special setting for when they're reaching through the network to a far end, far end PBX. So, and you do need to go in and configure that on the IP phone. Once you do, then, and obviously you can't, the IP address will be changing if you went from a premise system to a cloud system, the IP address of the UCX server. And so you would need to program the server IP address on that system to be able to have it know, or on that phone to have it know where to go. If it's a digital phone, so we support digital phones in a cloud environment. In that case, you would need to use one of our DSM-16 devices, one or more, depending on how many phones you have, and point the DSM-16 server IP address. I covered that in there. You would just simply put the IP address of the UCX cloud system in the DSM-16. And from that point, both for the IP phones and the digital phones, the process is exactly the same. But on that topic, the part that I had wanted to bring up on IP phones configuration, because I said you don't need to change the server IP address if you're switching from a NEC on-premise PBX to a UCX on-premise PBX. The process there would be that you would configure everything on the UCX without worrying about pointing to any, without trying to connect any of the phones. Once you've got everything set up on the UCX, you disconnect the NEC PBX from the network. You reassign the IP address that the NEC system had and put it on the Emetrotel UCX interface. And now when you plug the Emetrotel UCX into the customer network, the phones are automatically already trying to talk to that IP address. And so we start responding and set up the communication, and you're able to, have full access. That's why you don't need to, change IP addresses on the phones, with the exception of the cloud system.
Okay. If the customer grows, can I add Emetrotel phones to the same system? Does that create an issue?
So, you're talking about this scenario. And we don't care, just as we don't care whether these are NEC digital phones, NEC IP phones, whether they're from the SL2100 or the SV9100, you're connecting them to the UCX PBX software. They could be Panasonic, they could be any other vendor that we support, but they also can be Emetrotel. Here's an example of our 7005 phone that we're soon to launch, touchscreen, full capabilities as I described in the 3065 discussion, both a phone functionality, but also has messaging, SMS, video, all interfaced exactly as it would look through the 3065. We'll be launching a larger one of those, shortly after. Here's our 3065 soft phone. So bottom line to the question or to the answer is no, we don't care. Every device, we can handle every type of device on the system intermixed in any ratios.
Just one thing to add into that, Brad, just everybody remember, if you are doing digital, each type of device needs its own DSM-16.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So, the 300, 400, 500s can be mixed on a single DSM-16, but the 2100s and the 1100 sets, have to be on their own DSM-16. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Lonnie, you just sent that question in that we just answered. Any other questions? Can I twin a 3065 on my mobile with the NEC desk phone on a desk? Can I transfer from one to the other in flight?
So the initial answer to that is yes. So you can have both a desk phone and a soft phone. They can ring simultaneously, or they can, you can, that would require for them to ring simultaneously right now would require an extension for each. If you just wanted to be able to manage between using the desk phone in the office and a soft phone when you're out of the office, we have a hot desking capability where you could transfer that extension from one phone to the other. We are working on a solution where multiple devices can have the exact same extension, and then the answer to the question would be, yes, they both can ring at the same time, and you can switch back and forth in mid-call between the two devices.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If no more questions, then I guess that'll conclude our webinar. Once again, we at Target Distributing and Emetrotel want to thank you for the opportunity that you gave us to share with you what we believe is the best replacement for your phone system needs in the future. So if you have any questions after this, you can get with one of your salesmen or contact one of us directly. And thank you for your time.
And thank you very much. I appreciate your time as well.
Thanks, Brad and Chris. If you'd like to learn more about Emetrotel's NEC Green Migration Solutions, we're ready to talk. Visit us at emetrotel.com or reach out directly at sales@emetrotel.com. And of course, special thanks to our partners at Target Distributing for co-hosting today's session.